Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today is the beginning of week 4 and we're really getting into it now. I'm going to continue this exactly where we left off in the last video, and that's by jumping right into the astronomy tower back there, where hopefully we're going to see some changes. Also this week, I'm thinking that I want to address a little bit of what's going on this side. We haven't really touched it at all in any of the weekly segments. I'm going to show you the classrooms down there and what else I've got going on and how I might be using some of the spaces. We're going to try to map it out because right now, that's all I have. So I've realized that while I did speak about this in the very first video, I haven't actually addressed what I'm going to be doing with it in enough detail where anyone would understand it apart from me. I will just talk about that quickly right now. This is going to be the very bottom of the staircase. And in the game, the way it works is there's a very narrow, well, it's actually quite large, but for the purpose of Lego, it's this narrow spiraling staircase that goes all the way up to the top. And then there's little bridges that go out to the perimeter of the building, and that's how you access all the different levels of the castle. So that will be the main access point from this upper level of the castle down into the dungeons. And this is going to be the only part of the entirety of the castle that I will dedicate to anything of the dungeons. Off to the right here, which you can access from a doorway, is the potions classroom. I've just put that on the wall right there just to experiment, but really this needs a lot of work. Now, all of this will be completely covered, and then there will be buildings atop it. So the only way that you'll be able to see in is from an angle like this, which I think will be interesting in its own right. And I'm excited to see how that will turn out. Then there's another doorway from right here that enters a small hallway, and then we have the Slytherin common room. And I've used one of the an unmarked Gryffindor tower door, which usually has a fat lady on it, to be the entrance to the Slytherin common room. And the reason that this is a whole lot taller than all of the other rooms is because I'm using this. And this comes from this Slytherin banner set, which is really, really neat. It's just a piece of plastic, and it's got a little bit of like a hologram effect. And it's the exact height of there, so I'm going to try to use that as the backdrop for this Slytherin common room. So we'll see how that goes. And I'll be using this set as much as I can to reuse some of the pieces because I do quite like the aesthetic that they've gone with. So we'll be using that for the Slytherin common room. Next, I'm going to take off the Great Hall and I'm going to show you what goes underneath it. So as you can see, the Great Hall comes apart in two main pieces, and it's a split level design that we've got going on here. So that's the front, which is just the sort of entrance foyer with the courtyard around it. And then the main part of the Great Hall is its own building as well. So it's right here and right here, and it's pretty darn sturdy. The way that I have this built is it's on a 45-degree angle, and I'm using these wedge plates here to align it with the rest of the mock. And it's just sort of wedged in quite nicely. There's nothing tacking it down to the floor, so it's really just friction at this point. It's got its own set of base plates. It's a half base plate right here, one here as well. And then these are quarter width base plates. I do not remember where I acquired these, but they are very old, and I'm very thankful that I have them because it's good dimensions for the Great Hall. And then I built all the rock work on the edge of these base plates. And well, fun fact, if you're ever interested, if you place a base plate on top of another base plate, even though they don't hook onto each other, the height difference is the same as adding one plate. So what you need to do is if you want to attach something over top of base plate is, well, you just, I'm going to use an example right here. I'm going to use that piece, just a regular red piece. We're going to go in here, and you can see if I do that, those two pieces are flush. So that's how I've connected all of these together in here. Now, in terms of what I actually want to do with this, there's a lot of space. I have a Hogwarts kitchen mock from a previous Hogwarts rendition that I'm thinking of using in one of these, and then the other half it being the Chamber of Secrets. Or go down the comments section below, and you probably will prefer this option. I'm thinking of doing half Chamber of Secrets and then half some of the scenes from the Philosopher's Stones. So potentially the chessboard and the end scene with Quirrell, maybe Devil's Snare, Room of the Winged Keys. So go down in the comments and let me know what you think I should do with this. This is obviously a lot higher, so maybe that will give precedent to the Chamber of Secrets, whereas these will be used for something else. But I think it's a nice hidden feature. And if I do end up using this for the Chamber of Secrets, it would be nice to figure out how to connect it into the castle so that it's a bit of a play feature, because right now, as you all know from last week's video, that's the bathroom in there. And well, unless I do a very intricate slide, that's quite a ways away. This is the kitchen that I was referring to, so you can see how this would have originally sat underneath my old Great Hall mock, and it was quite a bit narrower. But in any case, this is what it looks like in here. It's very simple. It's from a few years ago, but I do quite like it because, you know, it's all finished off and I took my time to do it. See a little bit here, there's a pot. There's the painting of the just brick built. It's the picture of the fruit that you tickle the pear. Although there's no pear, it's a banana and apple. So, you know, get creative with it. But that could potentially go in here somewhere. This thing is absolutely humongous. We've added about 10 or 15 rows of bricks, and it's now taller than the central tower. Just in case you're wondering how tall it is, I've got my trusty sort of T-square here. We've broken the 50 centimeter mark, and that's even measuring the depth of the table. So we're about 55 centimeters, and this thing still has about a quarter left of it. It's very, very tall. It's a bit weirdly shaped on the back here. I think that is the most horrendous bit of Lego building I've ever seen in my life. So I'm definitely gonna have to revisit that, but no worries. We're gonna be focusing on something else for right now. We've got here another screenshot. This is of the Astronomy Tower, of course. Now, we're sitting right there at that level. So at this point, what I need to do is I actually need to widen the tower all the way around, probably about one brick. And you can see that there's these well, little cornices, if you will. Now, and then there's two main turrets, towers. I don't even know what they're called. There's a small one here, which I think I can make out of just 2x2 round bricks. And then this one will have to be a, well, a proper tower on the side. And then there's that huge circle window, which I'm going to create using the same way as the Lego set. I'm going to use this, why is it not focusing? There we go. This 1x6 arch piece, and then using two of these at the bottom, simply to make a circle like that. And I think that will suffice. And I'm going to have to put a floor there, I think, because this is the size of my arm. And if we want people up here, we need a floor. And then when it comes to making the roof here, I've decided against, actually, in the last video, no, 2 videos ago, I spoke about making some roofs like this. I actually decided to pitch that idea altogether because I much prefer doing it just with regular slopes. So I'm going to be using the same slopes as these. And I've been looking online on Bricklink, and there's quite a few in sand green and dark gray, so that will help me continue this whole sort of mix of colors onto the roof as well. And I'll be using them for that roof and for this roof and for the 2 bell towers. The Great Hall as of right now is undecided, but so we're going to jump to working a little bit on this. I'm going to widen it. I'm going to try to figure out how to put the circle and the floor, and then we're going to have to dangle that on the side right here. So let's jump to that. So I figured out that I'm going to widen it by firstly using these inverted slopes and then using these 1x2 bricks that have these sort of round notches in them. And the reason for that is because they can squeeze in between there the same way that a regular 1x1 round brick would. Unfortunately, what that means is anything above this point now, I won't be able to connect over like I normally would. So it's just going to be sort of freestanding on each individual point, simply because the gap between this stud and that stud and this stud and that stud is too wide for a Lego brick to cross over anymore. There's that. There's also this, which is the beginnings of that sort of spire that we're looking at, and I'm thinking that this will hook on right about there, and I'll give you a better view later on. But that's the start of it, and then we're going to have the sort of look out with the telescope and all that. Let's get to it. So I didn't quite realize that these 1x2 bricks actually look quite stupid with the fact that these are inverted and then those sort of just stick out randomly there. So what I've done to fix that is simply just use a regular 1x1 round brick and then put that above it, and that, as you can see, works a little better with the form. Now I've attached this. You can see how it's hooked on there. And there we go. We're getting somewhere. I've dropped a piece all the way down there, and there's a bit of design flaw. I cannot fit my hand into this to take it out, and I didn't think about making an opening down here at the bottom. So well done me. Right guys, so here's the roof. It's finished in its proper color. It looks a bit ridiculous. I think it looks way too tall. I like how the slopes look. I definitely think I want to keep using slopes. However, that size slope is just way too steep. Sorry, not sleep. You can see in comparison to the height of the building, it's just making it look a little bit out of proportion. So instead of going with the sort of 1x2x3, I believe it's called, we're going to instead be using these. And I'm going to have to see if they actually sell these in sand green and dark gray, because I don't have any of them in sand green or dark gray. But I'm going to experiment with them now in dark tan and get back to you, see if it looks any better than that. Because that's just turned off. Nice. That's the wrong picture. There we are. It is steep, but it's not that steep. So you can see straight away the immediate difference that using the 1x2x2 slopes are instead of using these 1x2x3. We're saving 7 studs at the top, and stepping back, you can definitely see that that is fitting a lot better than that. So we finally reached the top. I've got the circular window in place. I will say that I'm not sure that's the right size. I think it looks a little bit too small for how big the actual tower is. However, I will just show you here. This is the other option that I could go with, and I'm missing the bottom right piece, of course. If you're using just standard Lego arches, this is the next size of circle that you can create, and this is quite a big deal larger. So I'd appreciate if you guys go down in the comments and say small window or big window. Big window, I think, is a little bit too big for how big this tower is, but that kind of looks like a peephole rather than a huge hole in the side. And I realize I also haven't shown you this side in a while. There's so the roof would continue straight until it gets to about this point, and then it curves somehow. That is definitely going to have to be worked out. That's probably going to be where I shift from using slopes to wedges, because I don't think there's any way I can realistically use a bunch of slopes. I was thinking that I can perhaps use this at some point, probably near the top, and then work a bunch of wedges up to this point, and then that connects into the straight edge. But we'll see how that goes. In any case, guys, thank you all for tuning in for week 4 of building Hogwarts. The astronomy tower is looking like the astronomy tower now, and I'm really low on pieces. I've got a bunch of 1x1s and all the tiny bricks, but when it comes to really anything larger than a 1x4, I'm very low on. So I've got a bunch of sets that I'm going to have to spend next week taking apart, and I've got I'll show you. Why not? I've got all of that and stuff, and this, and there's 2 more buckets of these, which I'm going to have to go through, sort out, and find all the bricks, and then I can get back to building, because unfortunately, I'm very short right now, and that means Hogwarts has to be put on a very slight pause until we can get some more pieces out of these, and then we'll continue. But in any case, week 5, I'm hoping that we can start by outlining a little bit of the bell towers, and also by mapping out this area over here, and that'll be our next steps, because we're gonna have to order some pieces for these 2 roofs. Anyhow, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye.